I'm Ru Weerasuriya. I'm the CEO of Radio Dawn Studios and the creative director on the Order 1886. Building a studio and bringing people in is usually the biggest challenge of anything that you do, purely because it is about people. People make games. You need talent. You need, people that inspire you. But we took it slow. We went from, starting with 3 people when we started the studio. After 2 years, we were about 20 to 25. After another 2 years after that, we were about 40. So it was really kind of like slow paced until we really found the core of our team. The reason why we also started the Order, the last game, was because we finally felt like we had the core of the team that we wanted to make the game with. So we were 50 people that we felt we could rely on, to build the foundation of everything. And then from there, we spent the next, the last 4 years building the team from about 45, 50 people to now we're about 125. So we're still small for a studio that makes AAA games. Actually, we're probably one of the smallest ones out there, which is surprising with even 125 people. Actually, that's weird because a lot of people say that, but we don't. Mutual respect, definitely, between the Naughty Dog and us. One of the people who started the studio with me and my business partner was from Naughty Dog, but at one point we went from the 3 guys who started the studio to having kind of a change around 2010, right before we started the game, where the person who was with Naughty Dog, who started the studio with us, he's no longer with the company because he wanted to do other things. So the relationship, like the first relationship we had with Naughty Dog was through him. But today, it's not so much about, I don't think we have anybody from Naughty Dog, if I think correctly, but we have I think, one of the closest relationships with any developer between Naughty Dog and us, because we've known each other, we see each other all the time, we respect each other, we've shared ideas with them. I don't know, it's just a natural thing. I think the development community is so small that it's kind of nice to find kindred spirits and people who actually think the way you do and make games the way you do as well. Surprisingly, actually, surprisingly, the idea for the Order came from a lot of different stories. It came from history. It came from inspirations that we had over the years. I started writing the very first ideas for the IP at large a long time ago, around 2006. It was just more writing about a world. What could an alternate world be like? So ideas about how and why this world existed. But as we kept on talking about it, as I kept on working on it, when finally we were able to actually bring other people into the mix, we started talking about gameplay mechanics of games that we wanted to make. We started talking about what kind of journey we wanted to build and gameplay experience we wanted to build. And once we started with the core mechanics, we were at this spot where we had kind of a cool idea about the gameplay mechanics we want to build, and I had worked on all this story stuff that we decided, like, look, I think there's something that mixes really well here, and the two kind of came together, really kind of organically, and the werewolves, all of that stuff was about this alternate history. It was about basically how do we change the world enough that it's cool to live in. There's some supernatural stuff, but people still believe it. And that was the idea behind the Order. That's the idea behind everything we did until now, and that's the idea behind, like, creating the game. It started from a single idea to a group of 100 and whatever people, like creating a game. So it's kind of an amazing ride, all the way through. It was interesting. I think the conversation started even before we started making the game. We really thought hard about what type of game we wanted to make. Building a world, building an IP is one thing. Then coming up with gameplay mechanics to make a story, it's another. And as soon as we started thinking about what this meant for us and what kind of game we wanted to make, the multiplayer conversation came up. But honestly, we felt, especially with a new IP, with a new story, with new characters, with a new world, that to do it justice, we had to make a single player first. We had to basically give players the ability to see this world the way that we built it through a storyline. And we discussed multiplayer, but very quickly we just decided, it's not the time for it. It's not the time to make multiplayer. I have no idea, to tell the truth, because the people who actually posted, I think somebody told me about it because I was on the middle of the press tour when that happened, but somebody told me about it, and I was actually very surprised also to hear that. But I think that it's a misconception. The game is way longer than that. It's way longer than that, and it's very much what you would expect out of a single player game that you've already that you play on PS4 or Xbox 360 or whatever platform you want. But it's way longer than that. It was just it's a misconception, and it's a misreporting of somebody actually putting the information out there without truly having without saying too much. I think without truly relating all the information and what he basically went through to actually get through the game. I think, ultimately, the tough part sometimes is that people talk about these things and it affects people and influences people, even if the information is wrong, like this. So you put bad information out there, somebody who just wants to speak up and wants to be heard puts up bad information out there. It affects a lot of people. People make their decisions on that. It's tough. It's actually a pity, because I think that people are going to be missing out on some stuff. Unfortunately, that's also the way the industry and the world has gone. There's a lot more people who have an avenue to speak, to have a blog, to have YouTube and all that stuff, putting out there. It's cool because that means our industry is growing, but we also have to be very careful that the information that is passed out is not incorrect, and then puts everybody else in a bad situation where people who would have normally experienced the game now decide not to. But no, I mean, I don't have too much worries, honestly, about the game. I'm really proud of the stuff we did. Everybody who played it, that I know who played it, even within the industry, absolutely loved it. So I'm actually just looking forward to having people have a chance to play it and tell us what they think. Well, that's whether the order will be a series, that's going to be very much dependent on the success of it and how people like it. I think that people have already attached to the IP, to the story. I think there's a lot of people who are actually intrigued and have questions about how this story plays out, how all of this is this keeps moving forward. So we already have that on our side. I do hope that people get to experience the game, understand why we built this game the way we did, why the pacing is the way it is, why there's all these different mechanics and intermingling of pacing in the game, and I hope they kind of appreciate where this could go in the future, and how good and how far we could take this to make the experience even more immersive, even more in depth, and the chance to do that for us is really going to be whether or not people really attach to it and love playing the game.
Jahrhunderte sind vergangen, doch unser Orden hat unerschütterlich seine heilige Mission verfolgt. Das Gleichgewicht zwischen Menschen und Halbblütern zu wahren. Heute wird dieses Gleichgewicht von einem neuen, ebenso schlimmen Übel bedroht. Der Rebellion.
Sie wissen nicht, mit wem Sie es zu tun haben.
Sir Galahad, das letzte Wort ist noch nicht gesprochen.
Verlassen Sie sich drauf.